I'm a library assistant at the Lincoln Public Library. And welcome to Hangout. Hangout is a program that we run on Thursday afternoons from 4 to 4:45 at the Fleming branch. It's a very informal program. What we do is we put out laptops, we put out a table of recommended books, and we have an activity. Sometimes our activity includes making our own snacks. So that's what we'll be doing today. We're going to be making some simple cake mix cookies, some peanut butter cookies, and even a Kraft with our cookies. So let's get started. This information is from the EPCI Unity site, Cooking and Chemical Reactions. Any cooking you do involves chemistry. The use of heat, cold, and cutting is the composition of foods. Even simply slicing an apple sets off chemical reactions that change the color of the apple. If you add sugar to turn it into syrup, you're using a chemical reaction. We learned that cooking is chemistry. The next thing we're going to look at is some simple kitchen safety rules for kids. And this is from the What's Cooking Kraft website. So to find out about some of the rules, before you begin, roll up long sleeves, tie back long hair, and remove loose clothing that might get in the way or catch on something. Wash your hands and dry them well. Wet hands can be slippery. If you can't reach the countertop, use a sturdy stool or wooden step to help. Keep cabinet doors and drawers closed so you won't bump into them. Wipe up spills as soon as they happen. Wet spots can be slippery. Always use oven mitts to handle food on the stove, in the oven or microwave or under the broiler. When working with pots on the stove, be sure to hold the handle while stirring to prevent the pot from slipping off the burner. Always pick up knives by their handle and do not point them at anyone. Be sure to only use a knife when an adult is close by and with permission. Keep electrical cords away from the stovetop, oven, and sink. Before leaving the kitchen, check that the oven and burners are all turned off. If you burn yourself, tell an adult immediately. Don't put knives or other sharp objects in a sink full of water. Someone could reach in and get hurt. Never put water on a cooking fire. It could make the fire bigger. Call for an adult to help and use baking soda or flour to put out the fire. Don't put cooked food on an unwashed plate or cutting board that held raw food. Always use a clean plate. Never add water to a pan with hot oil in it. It could splatter and burn someone. Keep paper towels, dish towels, and pot holders away from the stove so they don't catch on fire. So that's it for the safety rules. Now let's make our cookies. These will be the ingredients you need. Box of cake mix, oil, eggs, and chocolate chips. You will need a bowl and spoon. You will need some cookie sheets or baking sheets, parchment paper to put on to the cookie sheets, a cooling rack, so once they're done, put them on that. And you will need some measuring equipment. So let's get started. The recipe makes about 18 cookies, so I lined 2 baking sheets with parchment. For this recipe, I had French vanilla cake mix, so I put that into the bowl. You also need 2 eggs. And a half a cup of oil. I like chocolate chips, so I put in 6 tablespoons of chocolate chips. Now for the fun part. It's time to combine all the ingredients. I just used a wooden spoon and elbow grease. And this is a pretty sticky batter. So once you have it all stirred and mixed, what it's recommended is to put it in the fridge for about 15 minutes. So when you put it on your cookie sheets, it's not so sticky. And this is what your batter will look like. Preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Now grab your cookie sheet with a parchment paper and a spoon and just put it on your spoon and use a knife and put them onto your cookie sheet. And this can take a little bit of time. Since we're going to be making a Kraft, we're going to be getting some bamboo skewers. With the bamboo skewers, you can snap them in half. Use a pair of scissors just to trim them. What you're going to do with the bamboo skewers for a Cookie Bouquet Kraft is find just a few cookies and make sure you put the skewer at the top of the cookie so the whole skewer is in the cookie. This will give it support when you put it in your bouquet. These cookies take about 11 minutes. Once you've got the skewers in, just straighten them up with the knife and spoon. Our 11 minutes are up. Here's our first batch of our cake mix cookies. Just have to let these cool now. So stay tuned, almost time for eating. Here's the recipe recap for our cake mix cookies. Ingredients: 1 432 gram box of cake mix, any choice, half a cup of vegetable oil, and 2 large eggs. And you can put in anything that you'd like: chocolate chips, M&Ms, Rolos, etc. Instructions: preheat oven to 350. Line a baking sheet with a silicone mat or parchment paper and set aside. Combine the cake mix, oil, and eggs in a large bowl. Stir together until combined. If you have time, you can refrigerate the dough for 15 to 20 minutes because it is a little sticky. Use a medium scoop or spoon, scoop the dough onto the prepared baking mat. Bake for 9 to 11 minutes or until the cookies are set. You don't want to burn them. And allow to cool on the pan for a couple of minutes and then transfer to a cooling rack. To make peanut butter cookies, you need peanut butter, sugar, and 1 egg. You'll need 1 cup of peanut butter. As you can see, it really sticks to the cup by all my clanging sounds. If you have any peanut or nut allergies, do not make the cookies. Then you'll need half a cup of sugar and 1 egg. And then you stir. Believe it or not, this isn't a very sticky batter. Again, it takes a little bit of elbow grease just to mix all the ingredients. And this is what it looks like. Now take your peanut butter batter and roll it to 3-centimeter balls and place them roughly about 5 centimeters apart. This recipe roughly makes 15 to 20 peanut butter cookies. Again, if you have any nut or peanut butter allergies, please don't make these cookies. Once you have rolled the balls, grab a fork and make a crisscross pattern. Now take those bamboo skewers you made earlier and put them in your cookies. When you're done, 15 minutes in the oven. "15 minutes later, we have peanut butter cookies." Here is the recap of our Kraft peanut butter cookies. You can usually find this on the back of the jar. So the ingredients is 1 cup of smooth peanut butter, half a cup of sugar, and 1 large egg. Then you preheat your oven to 325. Then combine the peanut butter, sugar, and egg until it's blended. Roll into 24 1-inch or 3 centimeter balls. Place on a cookie sheet about 2 inches or 5 centimeters apart. Flatten each in a crisscross pattern using a fork. Bake for 15 minutes. Don't overbake. And allow it to cool on the pan for 5 minutes and then transfer to a cooling rack. For today's craft, we are going to make a cookie bouquet. So with the cookies we made, we kept a few back and we put some bamboo skewers in to create this bouquet. So what you need? Well, you need a container to put your cookies in. You need some sandwich bags to wrap your cookies. Some curling ribbon, just to make them look a little pretty. You need a piece of styrofoam to stick into your container so that will display your cookies nicely. And I just used some tissue paper that we're going to put around it. And some more embellishments. So let's get started. I used a knife to cut the styrofoam to fit the container. You may need help from an adult. Now take your plastic bag and your cookie and just place it in the bag. I just used some tape and I cut the bag. And there I twisted the bag around the skewer with some curling ribbon. Make it a little fancy, I just used the scissors to curl it. And the tape just to make it. And I did this a few times. The same thing, cut the bag, use the tape, taped it around, and then use the curling ribbon. And you do this for all your cookies. Once you're done, you put them into your styrofoam container. I used the pink paper, and what I did is I put it around the cookies just to hide the styrofoam, and then the embellishment in.